Pace course and work with a community of staff and students on what we could call critical production, a pedagogy and practice that considers the historical and contemporary contexts, both where and in which we're producing work, and then utilising the spaces, tools, skills, ideas and experience in that context with that community. I met Noah in the first year, and I can safely say that Noah has continued to develop a number of interests and indeed habits that he already had, and has sometimes amplified them. Noah sees the world as dystopian, and it is, as a game, which it is, and as a question that he continues to ask. I'd like to quote Noah directly from the title of his dissertation, an essay on gaming called The Power of Play Across Mediums. But in relation to the second part of his title, we could consider Noah, and perhaps even all of ourselves through our work at Pace, as mode of experience, tool of self-actualization, and dynamo of development, both personal and societal. Perhaps the speedrunner in Noah will at some point slow down and present in the moment, but perhaps the potential polymath will perpetuate play, which sometimes requires inattention. The underlying desperation of his work is sometimes reminiscent of Beckett, who in The Unnameable says, "I don't know, I'll never know. In the silence you don't know. You must go on. I can't go on. I'll go on." So before I go on, just to say it's been a joy to work with Noah over the past 3 years, and especially to be present during the process of making the piece of work that you are about to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Feelin Fine.
Man, it feels good to be back in front of an audience. Feels like home, but boy, am I sick of that place. I mean, it's great to see people again. Hey, who put on weight during lockdown? I tell you, I was going out to clap for the NHS, but I kept on getting Deliveroo put in my hands. But, you know, I worked off the weight, and now my family doesn't bring up my weight when they see me. How do you? So apparently, this whole COVID thing was started by a guy eating a bat in China. Who let Robert Pattinson into China? You see, that's funny, because Robert Pattinson has been cast as the new Batman, and he has COVID. So he's like Robert Battison. It's a topical joke and a pun. And all these anti-maskers, you know, why are they so against wearing masks? A bunch of mouth breathers. And second wave is about to start. Has everyone got their surfboards ready? You know, Keir Starmer is the new Labour leader, and he's so bad at public speaking, they should call him Keir Stammer. Wouldn't that be funny if he had that disability? No. Boris! Boris is in charge. Wacky Boris! And his government's a shambles. But we have to thank God that we didn't get the nightmare of Corbynism. That's not the government's fault. That was always going to happen. And Labour lost fair and square. What? But they'd have to hate us. They'd have to think all voters are bastards. Well, at least the Tories are fighting fair. You know, they're making their case in the public, in the free marketplace of ideas, and allowing us to come to our own conclusion. That can't be right. There's got to be some sort of jokes. Let's get funny again. Let's be funny. You know what's funny? America is funny. Has anyone seen the blood red skies over the West Coast right now? Normal world. That ain't it, Chief. And that's a tweet. You know, they say, red sky in morning, shepherd's warning. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Red sky all day, shepherd move away. Back to entertainment. Who here is excited to see Tenet? You know, a lot of people are worried about Tenet because they're scared they're going to miss it in the cinemas. And what they should be worried about is their tenancy agreements, because they're going to miss their rent because there's not been another stimulus package. See, that's just good comedy. And what about this whole Black Lives Matter thing? I mean, police brutality is a problem, I guess, but we gotta stop listening to all of these extremists and radicals. It's just a few bad apples. That's not good at all. What about Trump? Or should I say Drumpf? He makes me spit out my Corvette every morning. I mean, they say Orange Man bad, but there is a Cheeto in the White House, people. And who's heard about him not paying his taxes? Don't we care about that? We care about him not paying his taxes. And he turns out he's not even as rich as he says he is. I prefer my presidents to be actual billionaires. Thank you. I mean, what will Trump do next? But that's eugenics. Well, at least Joe Biden and the Democrats are gonna... Oh. Well, hey, how's about all of this Epstein stuff? Weird. But at least justice is now being... But that's so out in the open. It's like they don't care. Hey, at least there's one positive institution out there. Facebook.com. Keeping us together during lockdown. Come on, man, that doesn't count. It's just one country. What's important to remember is that we're all in this together. Look, we're getting bogged down in the details here. What it really comes down to is good politics and bad politics. Good politics is what you agree with.
Moderation.
Exactly. Hearing both sides out, staying in the middle. Whereas bad politics is what you disagree with.
Being an extremist.
Being impolite.
Being hysterical.
But who tells you what's good politics and what's bad politics?
Good people.
With good ideas.
Where do good ideas come from?
Good brains.
Incredible.
How do we know where these good brains come from?
Well, we're doing studies, actually.
Oh, any findings?
Turns out they're European.
Fascinating.
But where would we be without bad ideas?
We wouldn't know good without bad.
It's called relativity.
Einstein invented it.
You're gonna disagree with Einstein? Would you ever make a nuclear bomb? Sit down, sweetie.
Einstein never had a hand in the construction of the atom bomb.
Nobody's perfect. So true. So why pursue it?
Exactly. Be happy with what you have.
Drink a Pepsi.
Drink a Coke.
Play Xbox with your cousin.
Start a business with your uncle.
Find your family in the workplace.
Find your profits at home.
Meaning is out there.
Go-getters, go get it.
Now that's a good idea.
Just gotta be more normal.
Don't be so sad.
Everything's fine.
We're all feeling it.
We're feeling fine.
Literally just vibing.
So why can't you?
Just have to try harder.
You just have to smile more.
Accept responsibility.
If you really wanted it, you'd have it.
Believe.
Believe that everything's fine. It's getting more difficult to write jokes right now, and not necessarily because of our collapse into this century of catastrophe. In fact, comedy is a great way of processing horror. And that's the issue. That our late-stage capitalist hellscape has entirely metabolized and internalized that coping mechanism, so that now we experience all horror and atrocities as spectacle. I'd say that this phenomenon has been best encapsulated by the 9 years I've spent on Twitter.com, having my mind slow-motion power-washed. Twitter is a carnival of nightmare simulacrum, where the most brilliant attractions are radicalized celebrities and the mutant heads of state. Where the only way to not become enthralled by the culture wars on there is to adopt a disaffected, ironic detachment, which in itself is a sort of enthralled engagement, where all news is immediately embraced as both comedy and horror. And when the news is a joke, of what use are comedians? I'd say the only solution we have left in that regard is to log off. So what to do now? How do we find new forms of solidarity? There are no sacred cows. Everything is suspect, and anything can be compromised by commodification. And now, a word from our sponsors. Predictions! Pragmatic solutions to a problem that's our collective responsibility! Let's not forget Nancy! Keeping kids at work! I was a good worker! I was a good worker! I was a good worker!
The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets.
It's all about round-the-clock sex. It's all... Come on, man.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
The light on the dark outside of me. Love remains a drum that's high enough to feel. But did you know that when it snows, my eyes become alive and the light that you shine can't be seen. Baby, I can bring you a kiss from a rose on the green. Ooh, the more I get of you, the stranger it feels, yeah. And now that your rose is in bloom, a light hits the gloom on the grave.
The inimitable Noah J. Dunbar. Everybody, please. Hello and welcome back to Milton Court Studio Theatre here at Guildhall School of Music and Drama. My name's Gilly Roach and I'm the head of interdisciplinary practice here at the school, and I'm also the programme leader of our undergraduate degree in performance and creative enterprise, of which Noah is almost a graduate. This is the final night of Chapters Festival. Over the last 2 nights we've seen the final performance pieces created by our PACE graduating students. PACE is a course that was established in 2015 as a joint initiative between the Barbican and Guildhall. Its aim was to train socially engaged, visionary, autonomous, multidisciplinary, powerful, political, irreverent artists like Noah. It's very closely aligned to the industry and supported by an incredible and world-class team of tutors, many of whom I think are watching this evening. Can we have a round of applause for your teachers, please? We are taking your questions. I'm going to ask Noah some questions about his piece, Feelin Fine, in a moment. But if you have any questions, and I imagine you might, please send them in on the hashtag Guildhall Chapters. I'd also like to just give another shout out to Max, the amazing Max Markovich. Thank you very much, Max, who's BSL interpreting for us.
For here, I think.
Yeah?
There you go. Hopefully I'm...
But yeah, and I think that's all I have to say at the moment. It is just an absolute pleasure to introduce the amazing Noah J. Dunbar.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Noah.
Hello. I can't believe you let me get away with that. That's great. Dang. Well, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Tell us about yourself then. What kind of art do you make?
I'm just like a chill guy. That's like my whole thing. I relax, I vibe out. I decided the other day I'm clown goth. You know, like cyber goths love computers and they love death.
Yeah.
I love to laugh and have fun and death. Those are the three. No.
It does feel like all of those things are in your piece.
No. What do? I'm a comedian. And this, not for a while. I think this is a fairly good endpoint on that for at least a little bit. Filmmaker, game designer. I'm going to be starting a master's in game design shortly. And a musician occasionally. Yeah. That's what I do. And again, I just chill. I'm just a chill guy. Hang out with me.
Super chill guy. It's an absolutely astonishing bit of work, Noah, honestly. That's probably the third time I've watched it, and it doesn't. I find something new in it every time, every single time. There's a kind of like, it just feels limitless in its innovation, experimentation, in the boundaries that you're pushing.
That was and we watched the film Limitless a lot making it, and we're just inspired by that whole movie, by Bradley Cooper's journey and the whole thing.
And his performance. Yeah, you're channeling Bradley Cooper.
Exactly. We all started doing Ritalin. It was great.
Very strong, very strong. So tell me, where did the idea for Feelin Fine come from? How did the piece develop?
Where did it come out of? So originally, my final piece was going to be one of these boring video game things with a live stage audience. Was going to be interactive and stuff, but couldn't do that because of the virus. And then everything just started to get worse, you know? And I didn't think about doing my final piece for ages, and instead I was just on Twitter compulsively checking the like endless stream of hell, and basically served a function in numerous different group chats of finding the worst examples and sending them in. So I was like the man in the field, just having my, getting the worst things and sharing them. And it was through that and talking with everybody who's in the credits, talking with them about like politics and about comedy as well, and viewing different, art coming out of this moment, which is pretty limited. Most of it's terrible. Most of the comedy is so bad. God, that's like a big part of it as well. Of like, I'm not sure if you've seen any of the like late night stuff that's coming out now. It's just people at home trying to pretend like it's just absolutely dystopian and nightmarish. And yeah, so I wanted to have this be a cathartic farewell to that form of comedy, because I think we're in a new era. And yeah, so it was about transmuting that feeling that we all had into a piece, and making it as like dumb as possible. Like, it's so stupid. God, it's so dumb.
But so precise. Everything.
Thank you.
I genuinely, I admire the kind of like chaos and sense of like you say, there's a sense of like that it's stupid, but it is not stupid. It feels very considered and very precise, and I admire it for that reason.
There was a lot of work. It was like an incredible amount of work that went into, and everybody in the credits killed it. And then everyone. It's unfortunate the entire production team here at Guildhall absolutely made it real. Everybody. It was absolutely a team effort. Everyone corralling me into the right spots. But yeah, no, I'm very, very, very happy with it.
Amazing. And are you back on Twitter?
I'm not. No, that's it. That's why it ended like that, because during the making of this, I was suspended from Twitter for this shitty fucking argument with, sorry, I'm swearing. Is that okay?
I think that's okay. There's swearing in the piece.
Yeah, okay.
Content warnings all over the website.
Just in one of these bullshit Twitter arguments, which was a great one to end on. It was so cathartic, and I was felled by a Karen. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I couldn't have, and I was up to that point telling my girlfriend, like, I've got to get off Twitter. I hate this. It's just compulsively checking it, and there is a force out there looking out for me because it banned me. So I now can't go back on, and it's as well, I've said, Dobby is free. The foot goblin is free. He no longer needs to be enthralled to this evil design system. Yes, I'm quite looking forward to just making some non-social commentary video games that are just nice and fictional.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to asking you more about that in a moment. But we do have a question from Twitter. We're taking your questions at the hashtag Guildhall Chapters. Please do send us your questions, but also your feedback, your thoughts, your support, and your love for these PACE students, for all of the graduating PACE students. Send us pictures, send us support, send us feedback and questions like this. This one is from Jem. It says, Noah, do you feel like a Twitter addiction is more harmful to the soul than an addiction to other social media platforms?
Maybe for me. I mean, I'm not a Luddite. I'm not against like the internet. It's just a thing in like how these websites are designed, which is like, they're designed for a profit motive, and you don't pay for them, so it exploits your data, and it wants you to keep on it. And I mean, Facebook is like so guilty of this, and it's like there's incredibly like messed up stories of like the sway that Facebook has in geopolitics from around the world in countries that like aren't. It really comes down to a fluency in internet. I think, which is why, like, on Facebook, where lots of old people are, they've just been radicalized into straight up Nazis. It's great to see. It's a brain melting experience where, like, if you don't have experience on the internet, growing up with it and understand the rules of it, it can just be like streamed into your brain and wash it over. And Twitter is like an ever-present stream of the news from around the world and just how bad it is and how funny it is. Like, it is very funny, and I miss the like similarly brain-dead people on there who used to make me laugh. I miss these accounts who are still in hell. But I'm free. I'm glad to be done with that. I think it's not a thing of communication, and Twitter does it for me because it is that endless stream of how funny the world is. But each of them have different things. It's just becoming enthralled to these systems, knowing that they are there to make money off you. It's that. And I think until the profit motive is done with them, they're all going to be kind of suspect. But they can be used for things. It's just, moderation.
I'd also like to note the irony of the fact that Jem sent that message to us.
On Twitter. I know, it's a message from the land I've left.
Thank you very much, everybody, for engaging on Twitter.
Thank you so much for engaging
with this
on Twitter.
conversation.
Make an account at home. In fact, if you're watching right now, just wave into your webcam. Now, didn't that feel good? That's another question.
Okay, Noah, what do you hope that audiences might take from your piece, Feelin Fine?
What do I hope that they may take? That it's... I wrote a whole thesis about why it's so uncanny, watching different comedians now. And a big reason is because the anthropological role it serves is to the audience is to be a voice for the alienation of the audience. And in doing that, everyone watching it comes away feeling, well, if we can see what's wrong, we can make things better, and thus everything's going to be okay. And we're all beginning to realize nothing is going to be okay. But I think everyone's realizing that already. I don't need to tell that. The one thing I would say is that, the most cathartic option for dealing with all of this would be revolution, but that's not going to happen. There's no prospects for that. So I'd say find the people you love and trust in your communities and organize them into unions, into cooperatives, into institutions, and survive and build your own social support networks, because those will start being cut. And also know who your enemy is, and that we're all in this together against ExxonMobil is one of the last sponsors. I'm not sure if you've seen a news story that apparently it's been leaked. They want to increase their carbon emissions output equivalent to the entire nation of Greece, which is just these people are demons. They're demons and are against us. So I'd just say acknowledge that there's people out there who don't like you. And you can survive it in numbers. That's all I'd say.
Yeah, good
Welcome
answer.
to Guildhall.
That kind of speaks to this next question, which we have received via Twitter from Rewa, the amazing Rewa Saab, who is a PACE student, a current PACE student in the year below you, right?
Yes.
Yes. She says, Noah, great work. Who do you hope sees this piece?
Such a fantastic question. It is. Who do I hope sees this piece? Well, as I said in it, it'd be funny for the companies I do the sponsorships at the end to watch it, but I feel like they'd probably just want, if it gets any traction at all, they'd want me to do an advert. That's how all of this works.
Naturally.
It's just endlessly metabolized. But people my age, honestly, the people who are still stuck on Twitter, still in hell, watch a beacon shot out from the dark to them. I'd like that. I'd like the people on there to see it. But I don't know. People who love to laugh and love death. That's other clown goths around the world.
How does one know if one is a clown goth?
One is a clown goth. It's a process of self-experience. That's a phrase that makes perfect sense. I don't know. You just got to believe in it. That's my opinion.
All right. Okay, we have a question from Carol, who says, Noah, impressed by your film, but I'm left anxious. Is Feelin Fine about the terrible greys we find in adulthood when compared to the comfort of black and white in infancy?
Well, hey, you know what? It's a very dense film, Carol. It's a very dense film. It could definitely be read as that. I mean, I did start Twitter when I was, 9 years ago. How old was I? I'm 23 now. 14. Jesus Christ, what a mistake. 14. I was 14. So maybe that's been a radicalizing experience for me. But, I mean, the grays are always there. And personally, I felt like those were clear when I was younger as well. I didn't have a huge, coming to a realization, like a moment as I got older. I feel like I've been the same person essentially since I was like 5. So for me, no. But if you've read into that, that's lovely. And I'm sorry it made you feel anxious. But then again, it's supposed to make you feel anxious. That's kind of a point. So good. I'm glad you're anxious. Get more anxious. Play some abrasive music. Have a Monster Energy. Do it.
All right, so you mentioned this earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
You are interested in video games. You're about to go and do an MA, I'm going to read this, in Independent Games and Playable Experience Design at Goldsmiths. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a bit more about what that course is, what you're planning to explore?
I'm very excited for it. It's basically just pushing the medium of video games. I kind of went, one of the main reasons I went to Guildhall and went to Pace was to try and use game design techniques in theatrical spaces and live spaces. Because as Justin so graciously talked about in my opening about my thesis, one of the things that's about, the first chapter, is all about comparing the players in video games to players on stage and in theater, and how as game designers, we should look at the players more as artists in that same role and design spaces for them with that in mind. And likewise to theater makers, should take the lessons from game design and see how game designers have made interactive spaces for players to move around in. So it was a test bed for that now that I've gotten a lot of experience in terms of bringing game design to theatrical spaces, I want to invert it and take all the stuff I've learned at Guildhall and making theatre and making workshops into a game design space, and just pushing the medium forwards and working with like-minded people. I'm very excited
to see what comes out of that.
Thank you, me too.
You talk about in the piece, there's a line that I really like, which is about finding new forms of solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
Does everything you just talked about in terms of games and like game design, does that fall into that category for you?
I see there's a debate amongst the left. Actually, at the end of my dissertation, I talk about, because a few people have talked about how games are counter-revolutionary, because it's taking your vital essence. You could be using to revolt, which I think is a little bit stupid, because there's, the whole reason is that it's like if people felt their alienation more broadly and were more upset, they'd be quicker to revolt, which may be true, but also that just means those people are suffering more, which I don't think is very good. And I'm not sure how much it holds up, how much evidence there is for it. And in my dissertation, I talk lots about the different examples of collaboration through spaces designed to ensure collaboration and solidarity. Like I talked about how Twitter and different social media are designed for a profit motive where you are the thing generating profit. Where there's like, an example I've talked about a lot before is a game that was made by, I'm forgetting the university that did it, but a university in America. They were trying to figure out how a specific, I believe it was studying HIV/AIDS, and he was trying to work out how a specific protein folded, and they'd used quantum computers and had researched it for decades but hadn't figured it out. And so someone on the team had the idea to turn it into a crowdsourced, open platform video game where players could go on and try and fold it and figure it out. And I think it was solved within a week, which is when focused, the human collective potential is everything here, everything that's making this possible was made by humans working together. So yeah, when humans are working together on a mass scale like that, the potential for solidarity and cooperation and collaboration is immense. But unfortunately, the people making most of those websites do not have that in mind. That's a sad fact of it. But there's got to be good people in the industry, which is hopefully what I'm trying to find and hopefully what I want to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely what you will be, I think. Right, we've got another question from Twitter. It is Rebecca Alero, who is another Pace grad and will be here in not very long. Her piece is next at 8 p.m.
Excited.
And I will be interviewing her. But her question in the meantime is, Noah, it pains me and pleases me to say that you are a genius. Where can you possibly go from here, the afterlife?
Yeah, that's it. I've hired an assassin. He's killing me shortly. No, that's so kind. Well, likewise to Rebecca. I'll be trying to live up to that. But yeah, what do I do now? I mean, this is a kind of great and cathartic, like, farewell to comedy in an immediate form, and like my only finished like short film is a horror film as well. So it's kind of a marrying of both those two fields, and all my stuff with absurdism and like public sketch was all started when I was like a little kid fucking around with mannequins. I used to like go into, especially foreign airports were the best because they wouldn't put them down. So I'd go into each store and I'd put the mannequin arms straight up, every single store in like a row. Just because I love the idea, imagining someone walking through, noticing the first shot, being like, that's weird, and then seeing the next and next and next, and just having a profoundly like distorted moment of reality. I love that. So in this one, I sacrificed a mannequin and I am freed. So now, I'm all about the occult. Again, we're working with ritualist.com. Now I want to make games. I've been like planning and researching that for ages, and I want to finally bring that into fruition. And yeah, I guess this was all in the moment, so I'm sure there'll be more stuff to happen. And then, yeah, I'll make something then. But for now, I want to create some fiction, not social commentary. Yeah.
Live games, video games, all the games? Just
yeah, all of them. And, even stuff that would elude the categorization of game, digital spaces that are interactive but not necessarily games. All of it. Interactive narrative is what I'm all about. So, yeah, I'm very excited to do that and test myself out in that, and then I'll return to this and make some more bullshit. But yeah, that's
amazing.
That's me for now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell me, I have one more question, which is, do you have a highlight from your time with Pace?
Yeah, so much of it has been great. So much of it. I've developed so much. So much. Like my master's was discovered by Hannah Dunster, the tutor here, and my development as an artist from Jacob Samarose and Rick Holland. Rick has been immensely first week I went up to Rick and was like, hey, I want to do this at Guildhall in regards to the video game stuff, and that was not a thing that people were doing, and he was like, just wait, you can do it, and has mentored me throughout that and been incredibly supportive. And Justin has developed my political understanding immensely, showing us John Berger's ways of seeing, and it's been really great. And then the residency in Manchester was excellent, in terms of it was the first I learned how to code up there, and then making this has been again incredibly cathartic and fun, and involved so many different types of production of filming the end installation and doing practical effects. And absolutely each thing was at the exact last moment, where battery about to go, and every stage of it. So it's been incredibly tense but fulfilling. So it's been a 3-year course of highlights. That's my diplomatic answer.
Very good. I'll take that. Right, we have one more question from Twitter, which is from Nikki DeMaio, who says, Noah, can you explain why you chose Seal's Kiss from a Rose?
Because it's an immensely funny song to me. It's so funny to me. It doesn't, if you listen to the lyrics, it doesn't mean anything. What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. And it was captured the perfect 2000s R&B, hey, everything's gonna be okay. We just gotta chill and vibe out. And it also picks up on a recent online phenomenon, which I find deeply funny, of Doomer remixes, which is essentially people taking sad songs and then putting reverb and making it sound like it's coming out of shitty old radio. But the comments for these videos are full of people genuinely expressing their desolation and sadness, and trying to connect with people online. And I find it so funny. I find it so funny that this is what young people have. as an option, that I wanted to make an ode to that. So we doomified Kids from a Rose. It was just about heightening the absurdity. Maybe I should have left that answer more oblique, so there's more interpretation. Yeah.
I think people can. I would like to invite people to use the Guildhall Chapters hashtag to give alternative readings of that choice.
It's a dense film.
Yeah. Okay, where can people find out more about your work online, or do you not have an online presence at all?
Well,
anymore?
my Twitter is gone and good riddance, but Instagram is totally lit, guys. Yeah, I've got an Instagram account. It's Noah Jahme-Dunbar, same as the Twitter one. Got a website called neuroticmancer.com, which it rhymes with erotic dancer. It's like the book Neuromancer, but with TIC in it. So, yeah, Neurotic Mancer, one word, M-A-N-C-E-R. It's terrible, it needs to be updated. Doesn't have this on it. It's years old now, but that's cool. You can sign up to a mailing list. No, I'll never send anything. So that's a fun activity. If you're looking for activities while at home during lockdown, sign up to my mailing list. And then I've got a YouTube channel, which is also Neurotic Mancer. So if you search Noah Jahme-Dunbar on YouTube, my stand-up sets will come up, and I'll be uploading this shortly.
Amazing.
As well
And
as
it'll
other
also
stuff.
be on the Guildhall website, like all the other pieces, from Monday for a very limited amount of time.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Noah.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the 3 years. It's been great.
It's our absolute pleasure. So we're going to have another quick break, I think for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we will be back with the final piece of the festival. It's a piece called Dandelion, and it's by Rebecca Alero. In the meantime, I hope you, go. I feel strange advising people to go on Twitter and share feedback, share love, but I am going to do it, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you, Noah.
No, please get on there. It's a great website.
Yeah, please do use the hashtag Guildhall Chapters. Send Rebecca, Noah, and Jess are all online, as well as all of the other PACE artists that you've seen over the last couple of days. They are still taking your questions. They would appreciate your feedback, and I know that they would value your support. So please do get online and send them all of those things. We'll see you in about 20 minutes with Rebecca's piece. Have a good break. Thank you very much, Noah.
Thank you.